Yo, Doug, let me ask you a question. Since, mostly Trump's thing is like war on the drug dealers. But what about the users? If the users get caught, should they do time in prison?
I mean, I think how do you determine who's a drug user and who's a drug dealer?
You know a user. You know a user when you see one. All right, well, boys, for our next topic, a little bit different vibe, different energy. But Trump's back at it again. He's out here in his rallies talking, saying some shit. Especially about his main thing is killing drug dealers. No trial type shit, just bringing them in, quick, clean, getting them out of here. One of the craziest.
He visited the Philippines when he was president, and he really liked President Duarte's how he was dealing with drug dealers in the Philippines. Was basically like public execution and like just murdering these people all together.
That dude claimed that he claimed that he rode on a helicopter or something. Not Trump, but Duarte claimed that he rode on a helicopter and they kicked drug dealers out of the helicopter. Some crazy shit like that. Weren't you telling us about that, Pooch?
I haven't heard of that. That's crazy.
I swear there was something about like someone getting pushed out of a helicopter. I'm going to have to look this up so I'm not just making up shit.
They pushed somebody out of a helicopter in Scarface, but it was a drug dealer.
Yeah, it was a
drug dealer pushing out another drug dealer. Yeah.
Recently in Brazil, the guys on mopeds that they'll ride too deep. One person will be the jacker, the other person's the getaway. Those people, the police said if you shoot or kill these people if they try to rob you, you're not going to be charged or pressed. And there's entire compilations of people like waiting to get robbed by these people and then like shooting them first, like a blacked out window, and they'll shoot through the window and kill these guys. And it's there's videos of them cars just seeing that they're robbing people and just plowing into them with their cars and shit like that. Pucho saw one of the videos. It was a police on a bike. He gets off the bike and he just starts shooting the guy on the ground. And it's just like it's open season now on those people.
God damn. Yeah, here's a headline for y'all. Philippine leader says he once threw a man from helicopter, would do again.
Damn. Okay.
That's nuts.
So just to be more, just to clarify a little bit more on what Trump said, he's specifically saying he wants to wage war on the cartels and to stop this fentanyl killing. He's saying that it's killing like 200,000 Americans per year. And these are his words, quote unquote, not mine. And that he was going to ask for legislation to ensure that drug dealers and human traffickers, who are terrible, terrible, horrible people, get this swift killing. I don't.
So like as a statement, right, without adding the crazy second half of that, the first half is, hey, we should introduce some legislation to try to get rid of the cartel or limit cartel activity and stop the influx of drugs. It's like, all right, I don't think anybody should disagree with this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like, I don't think that it's the number one concern, but I think you can be concerned about multiple things at the same time, right?
Right.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
So just that first half, though, now add the fact that Trump is saying it. It's like, well, what is his proposed solution? Is he going to try to build the second wall to wall them in? He got the first wall, then he get the second wall, and then what, he wants a firing squad to sit on top of the wall. Like, I don't know what his proposed solutions for these types of things would be. But
I mean, what he's saying at rallies is that it should be the death penalty. We should introduce the death penalty for drug dealers, which is crazy to me. It'd be like I don't know, dude. We could start looking up stats on like how often speed is a factor in vehicular manslaughter on the road, and be like, okay, if you speed, you get killed. We shoot you on the side of the road, you get pulled over, you get one warning, done.
I think in some aspects, right, I kind of agree with. It's hard, right, because what, like, because he's saying drug dealers and traffickers, right? And he mentioned fentanyl. So these are like super hard drugs that are killing people. If I'm a drug dealer and I'm selling fentanyl, I am killing people. Quote unquote, I'm physically not like killing them. They're taking a drug that I'm selling. But you can, and there's an argument that you can start too, right? You can say like, well, people who sell alcohol, that kills people, right? Not as quick as fentanyl. But, you know, there's a bunch of little rabbit holes, or not rabbit holes, but little arguments you can have. But what I agree with is like, fentanyl is killing a lot of people. Is it the drug dealer's fault that these people are looking for drugs and they want that? No, but I mean, is this his fault that he's supplying these people with it, right? So yeah, if he's killing hundreds of people, why not give him a death sentence for selling that? You know
Should we kill all the people that sell like fast food? Because like the leading cause of death in the U.S. is heart disease, oftentimes caused by obesity or just eating bad and shit like that. And it's like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Should run around giving all the McDonald's, hey, welcome to McDonald's. How many? Blow, you're just taking them out like one at a time. It's like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like with that, that's why I was saying like I was kind of agreeing with it, but there's gonna be issues where people are gonna, like that example, they're gonna argue, be like, oh, okay, well, you can do this to this person too, or this or that. But I mean, if like, and then him trying to say wage war among the cartel, like, what do? You're gonna go over the border and fucking start a war? Like, because
well, I mean, I think it'd be meaningful. I think that's the only meaningful thing he said in that entire, because there's an issue south of the border, and yeah, the cartel is a really, unfortunately, it's a huge issue. It's why a lot of immigrants continue to come to America, and I think it's our neighbors to the south, and if they need help, we should help them out.
I definitely agree with that. I don't think you can wage war on the cartel though, right? Like, did we beat the Taliban? Have we killed like extremists? Did we won that war? Did we win the war on drugs? No, because you're fighting against like basically an ideal. Like, it's not like a single standing army or anything. You're fighting against this scattered group of things, and you're not going to win. You have to rethink how you're going to fight that.
No, for sure.
Crime tends to be an economic problem, right? So like, there's got to be other solutions to this.
Yeah, I think one difference to my understanding is that like, wow, you know, like the situation in the Middle East seems to be like a religious extremism issue, whereas cartel stuff seems to be, of course, there's a lot of dynamics involved, but it seems to mostly be monetary, like a way to make money. I think if you go up there and start fucking shit up, like, how long would it take for them to keep fighting that fight if it's just money that's the motivator? It's like, if you're stopping them from making money, then it's like, is this worth doing? Like, I don't know if they'll think so logical about it like that, but I don't know. I could see things playing out differently as well. Like, I don't know if going down there and trying to wage war with the boogeyman is the right approach, but like, you know, trying to hurt somebody's pockets when their main motivator is money, I think can be effective. But.
I mean, also, you're talking about like groups though that like in some of their local communities, like they're not necessarily the boogeymen because they are like the source of income in that little town, and they're, you know, it's like the old school gangs back in like the U.S. They did social work projects, like they built shit for the community and they handed out food and shit like that. They also were like slinging drugs and had their own like turf wars going on. But I mean, it's hard to fight something like that.
Yeah.
When I said the boogeyman, I meant like, it's not like you could like, it's not like waging war on Mexico. Like there's a standing government and a thing you could attack. It's like the cartel's kind of nebulous. Like, where are they? Where are their bases? It's kind of like fighting a ghost almost. Like, you know, you gotta, there's a lot of intel involved. And then it's like, you know, you destroy one place, somewhere else they crop up. And it's like, that's what I meant. It's like those type of like guerrilla fighting is like difficult, you know. Maybe not boogeyman in the bad sense. But.
I was right there with you on how you meant it.
And also too, I don't think that cartels are trying to sell a drug, right? And this is me just opinion, right? I don't think they're trying to sell a drug that stops them from getting more money, right? I think the people, it's like the lower dealers who adding these extra shits and not doing it right, because what a drug dealer wants is a reoccurring fucking person. If they're killing off these users, that's bad for business at the end of the day. So I mean, really, all you're really doing is just getting the low level drug dealers who don't really know how to mix it or how to do anything. They're just trying to get something to hook people up, and that's who you're really going for. Because honestly, fucking, how long has cocaine been around? That shit ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? So I don't really think at the end of the day that drugs fucking are going anywhere, bro. Because it's just too many people in the world. I don't know how I really don't understand his plan on this, other than just controlling it in the States. But
yeah, the drastic punishment feels like, I don't know if it'll have the intended effect. Like, you start giving people the death penalty, like, you think the drug dealers are gonna just stop dealing? Like, I think the people that are really in charge are gonna be unaffected by those types of policies.
Yep.
And then I think you could always find young, poor people that
to sell it,
don't really got another way to, sell drugs.
Yep. You need cash quick. You're like, I'm just gonna sell this. I'm just gonna sell this one time. Make a quick
get hooked
quick
on
couple $1,000s or something, and then you're in it.
I think a major part of the issue with what he's saying is like, a lot of the times people get addicted from like the doctor prescribing one too many Percocet referrals, and you get Xanax and stuff from the doctor, and you start to abuse it. And I'd be like, you have to put all of these people away too, right? If they're killing people and overdoses, especially in the 2010s and the 08s, and there were pill mills in Florida, and that shit goes all the way up the line. You're talking about CEOs that should be getting the fucking death sentence and shit like that. I think the problem here is that you got to decriminalize drugs before you can even start to do anything. I think you got to start at decriminalization, and then I think you got to start creating healthier options for drug users, like, so that they don't have to go through the background. Also, places to get high and shoot up. That's also another reason why those things are there. So if you do get a bad batch of drugs, you're in an establishment where they can put Narcan in you and stuff like that. I don't think people should. I think drugs is one of those things that are going to be around forever. I don't think we're ever going to see a world where there's zero drug usage. I think that's the human nature, is that we're very addicted to things, and anything can be our drug, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's cigarettes, there's liquor, there's coffee, there's
everything's
sugar.
kind of killing us slowly. You know what I mean? It just depends what your vice is.
Old Neanderthal man, he had some kind of root or something he would pop in his mouth and chew, and it would give him an upper or get him stoned or something. Drugs have been around since forever.
Yeah, I think you have to decriminalize them completely. I don't think that whole war on drug shit, I don't think that shit is even a real thing. When they decriminalized pot in the city, it was like, what the fuck were these they were harassing us before, like, and it just seems like it was almost a non-issue afterwards. And it's like, damn, if it really, it is not hurting anybody. You're smoking outside, shit like that. Used to get in trouble, used to go to jail, used to get fines, used to get summons, and now you can smoke freely outside, and it just feels like a farce.
I've got a question for you, Doey. One of the last times I went to New York and I was a smoker, and I would be outside smoking, I would get a lot of dirty looks and things like that.
Cigarette or
cigarettes.
Yeah.
Is there still that, like, is it more frowned upon to smoke a cigarette around someone than it is to smoke like a joint or something?
No. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you were around some snobby motherfuckers, but like, cigarette smokers are, it is what it is. You got your vices. Everybody vapes now, kind of. So like, but people still smoke cigarettes and shit. I think there's less shame for it now because everybody's
them train vapors be getting looks though.
Yeah.
You vaping on the train, people be like,
Yeah. Not only that, also Fulcrum, the Yodiland guy, he does that. He vapes inside of establishments, shit like that. There was that one girl who sparked up the cigarette on the train, and I kind of beasted on her. So yeah, maybe it depends on where you spark these things up. You know what I mean? But maybe you'll get looks, but it is what it is, man. Everybody has their vice.
Yeah, but fucking cigarettes one of the worst though, man. That shit, is stink as fuck. Like that shit stays on you better than cologne. Cologne company needs to go holler at tobacco companies and be like, yo, how do you get this fragrance to stay on you so goddamn long? Bro, Tony, I don't know what it is about cigarettes, bro. Like,
here's a fun thing. I wore a shirt yesterday that I hadn't worn since Deadwood, and when I went on the Deadwood trip, I smoked a couple of cigarettes, right? So this is like one of the last shirts that I smoked cigarettes on. I hadn't smoked for like months before then. I put this fucking shirt on. I washed this shirt like twice since like the Deadwood trip. It's like a long sleeve flannel, like it's one of my thicker shirts, and it was cold down here. The shirt still smelled like fucking cigarettes.
Bro, like what are they putting in the cigarette to make it still smell? Like that's what I need in my cologne. I want that shit to last forever. Like it doesn't make no sense. Like cigarettes are just bad, bro.
It's just smoke though. Like if you ever been to a fire pit,
yeah,
you'll smell like a fire pit for a grip. Like later on, it'll be a week later, I walk around my house and I still catch whiffs of a fire pit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Where is this shit? Yeah, I find even your hands, oh my God, if you ever like smoke a cigar or something like that, your hands will smell like smoke for a while. I find that literally rubbing alcohol on my hands for like, 30 seconds or so is the only thing that'll like reasonably get that smell out of my hand.
So you could always spot the old smokers too. They had those yellow fingers like in between where they would hold their cigarette.
Oh yeah. Yo, Doug, let me ask you a question. Since mostly Trump's thing is like war on the drug dealers. But what about the users? If the users get caught, should they do time in prison?
I mean, how do you determine who's a drug user and who's a drug dealer?
You know a user. You know a user when you see one.
I don't know.
I don't think that's true. The fuck?
Bro, I walk down the streets of New York with Doe and he'd be like, yo, this nigga's a druggie. You can look at him and they'll be like, yeah, that's a druggie. Watch out.
Yeah, but those people are like, they're like fucking hooked.
Yeah,
there's plenty of people that, there's plenty of people that are just going to use a drug a couple times a week or a couple times a month. It's like, or people that like to buy marijuana in bulk, things like that are like, are they a drug dealer or a user?
I don't think druggie.
Oh, well, not that word.
That's a fucking old man.
That guy's a druggie.
Not that word in particular, but you know what I was trying to get at. It wasn't. But I'm saying, like, at this point, marijuana is not a drug. Like, that shit to me is not a drug, bro. At all. Like, that shit's normalized.
It's almost a drug.
What's the definition of a drug? Anything that's like made in a lab, right? Chemically made, fucking mixing and all that, right? No, I'm gonna look up the definition.
Shrooms be growing in the ground and people eat them.
I don't think cocaine takes any lab processing. I think it's just something with leaves, but I've never looked into it.
Cocaine, they do a lot of shit. They do a lot of chemicals.
Do they have to do that to get the? Because I thought that you could just like chew on the leaves and that shit would get you high.
I think it might, but I mean, to extract the powder out of it, they do a lot of shit and add a lot of different like acids and things like that.
Ah, okay.
I think it's just things that are mind-altering substances or drugs.
Or introduced into your body, yeah. I stand corrected.
I think marijuana is a drug. I think alcohol is a drug. I think tobacco is a drug. Like there are legal drugs and there are illegal drugs.
And my thing is
saying that that we should just make all drugs legal.
He's bugged out for that shit.
I feel like that's like a little crazy. Like I think that's too far.
No,
but
on the same end, human trafficking, the way to end human trafficking is to make prostitution legal, and then have outlets where one, you get health checks, and two, you have some form of security for these women that do that as a profession. That's the two things you have to set up. In
what does
my
that got to
opinion,
do with those human traffickers that take little kids though?
19, almost a very big part of human trafficking is prostitution. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I'm all right. My question is, but what like the adults who are gonna go and like get checked and be a prostitute or worker, sex worker, right? That has nothing to do with the kids. Kids are also being trafficking. Yes, they're gonna get trafficked for sexual, whatever the reason is, but mostly it's sexual. But I'm saying like so. For those human traffickers, I honestly think they should deserve the death penalty. I don't think there should be any fucking court system or anything like that. To be honest, that's just my opinion. That's how I feel about it because that shit's worse than a drug dealer to me. To be honest, a sex trafficker, a human trafficker, that's worse than a drug dealer.
I don't think anybody will disagree with that.
Pop that motherfucker
kidnap a
first.
person and put them in a situation where they could only fuck for the rest of their life or they get killed. I think most people would say that's worse than dealing drugs.
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't think that I don't think that increasing the punishment is the way that you stop people from doing a thing though. I think it might work for certain. I don't know, man. I don't think that saying that oh, that's the death penalty. The fucking the Parks and Recreation thing, straight to jail. No, you go to jail. I don't think that that's the solution to these problems though, because that's not the reason these problems pop up. Crime tends to be an economic issue. You want to fix crime, fix the economic roots. Stop making people. Not making people, but fix the people that feel like their only outlet, their only way to get by is to commit crimes to make money. Yeah. I just don't think that a punishment actually that increase in the punishment actually makes it less likely. Especially you're talking about human traffickers. Usually that's a big organization. What you're going to punish the one person, like Bucci was saying, you're going to punish just the drug dealer. The people up top would just find that new person, a new desperate dude that needs to make some quick money, and they toss him right back into the machine.
Wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein or whatever his name is? Wasn't he? Didn't he have sex trafficking girls too, or whatever like that in this whole thing too? And all these fucking owners.
Yes, but I can guarantee you that man was not actually out there kidnapping young kids to do that. He had a whole machine in place that he had roots to.
Yeah, you got fucking NFL owners and shit out there enjoying it. That's. And the other boys don't
What was Jeffrey Epstein even arrested for? I don't actually know. Was it for sex-related things, or was that a big rumor mill and there was some other shit he was arrested for?
That is not some information that I have ready to go, honestly.
I know that I don't know if he got caught for this, but I know he had recruiters, women that he paid, young women in high school that he paid to recruit other young women in high school. Basically saying, hey, you ever think about giving a massage? It pays really good. Sometimes it can get sexual, stuff like that. But they'll tell these young women hey, you can get $2-3 grand in a few hours. And so he had a lot of recruiters that would recruit the woman for him. Which
sex trafficking is why he got arrested. Sorry,
Ghislaine Maxwell was another recruiter.
Yep.
Supposedly his girl too, that's who her name is, right? Maxwell. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They got a whole Netflix thing on it too, by the way. Saw last night.
Speaking of Netflix,
apparently it's about procuring prostitution from underage girls.
Yeah, and like Doey said, he had a whole network for that. I don't know. It's complicated. I don't think that the death penalty on things will actually reduce crime the way that we think that it will, though, or that people tell us that it will.
That might be more of a fear tactic.
Yeah, for sure.
But will it reduce a thing to an extent that's worth it? I guess. Death penalty is expensive too. That's another. It costs a lot of money to kill people in this country.
Mm-hmm. Well, because there's an appeals process and you're sitting in prison. And I mean, the other side of what Trump has said is that he wants to reduce due process and he wants to get rid of some of these these rights that we're supposed to have as Americans to fair trials.
Right.
Moving towards Judge Dredd, dude.
Yeah. One thing though, I'm gonna take the conversation back a little bit, because I feel like you didn't really Your response to Dewey was like, if Dewey's suggestion can't solve all problems, then it's a bad solution. Where he said make prostitution legal and put it in a better situation and you'll solve a lot of the problems. And then your response was, but what about the child people that get sex trafficked?
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, we could do different things for them. Like, but if you could fix 85% of a problem with a solution, it's like you shouldn't throw it out because it didn't solve the extra 15% or whatever.
But I don't think sex traffickers have to do anything with like grown ass females or males trying to just sell their body for money, though.
Have you ever looked into sex trafficking?
Yeah. Sorry, what did you just say, Tony? Maybe I misunderstood.
I was saying like sex trafficking is when like I don't think like if a woman or a man, whoever, wants to go prostitute or sell themselves for money, I don't think that falls under like trafficking, sex trafficking.
Well, a lot of the sex work in the United States is performed by people that have been human trafficked. I mean, like those massage parlors, like they caught that dude out in Florida at one of those, right? Was that Florida? I forget. It was that coach
there's
that
one in Florida. It's in Palm Beach too. It's like somewhere near Palm Beach.
But yeah, those places are typically like filled with women that are not they were human trafficked to get there. Like they're not like living freely and choosing to do that work. They were abducted and put into that line of work.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was when he said
and
that.
I mean, sex trafficking it takes a lot of different ways too. Like part of fixing sex trafficking is making is immigration law reform as well. Because those coyotes down in Mexico, man, they'll tell you they're going to take you across the border and they'll run with your money and they'll hold on to your identification and you'll get stuck in a situation like that. That's a situation that happens.
Yep. No, but yeah, I was just mostly talking about like, cause he was saying like how they can go get checked and just do their own job and not get arrested for it. That's why I was only talking directly more about like people who choose that option, not people who are forced. That's where I was gearing to, not the whole thing.
Yeah, in theory, it should help fix it because then you would have to there'd be some kind of license or registration or some shit like that you would have.
You're talking and around professionals, and you know what I mean? You don't have like a fucking pimp that just, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the time women need pimps for security, and that's how that whole thing goes about. And then they also have recruiters and stuff like that. But like once you start to take a lot of that away, you empower these people. Usually they don't need pimps anymore. Then there goes, you know what I mean, their source of like drugs and stuff like that. You don't really know like how it's gonna change it, but I feel like for the better. Make all drugs legal. Make all prostitution legal.
Why do you want to make all drugs legal? Why?
Because there's no reason for it to be illegal. There's no reason for it to be illegal.
I don't understand why. So you think fentanyl is a drug that should be legal?
Yeah, it should be legalized and it should be through the government distributed. It's already being distributed by the government, but create a type of fentanyl medicine that's not going to kill people. You know what I mean? It's going to get people it's going to give people what they want. Yeah, absolutely.
You want the government to create something that's better than fentanyl.
Not the government, but look how you have cannabis retailers and stuff like that. You have people that can look into this drug.
Nobody's
and say,
dying off of marijuana, bro.
If there is a big demand for heroin, if there's a big demand for fentanyl, then create safe ways of using this drug. That's it. Create a safe space. A place where you can use it, and if you do overdose on it, somebody can help you, whether it be giving you Narcan or afterwards you say, I don't want that to happen to me again. I want to stop using these drugs. Then they can help you get off of the drug as well.
I mean, that's the biggest part for me. Like I'm not 100% sold on every drug should be legal. But if we had centers where you could do drugs in a safe space, and you could have those conversations with people about trying to get clean and trying to get through rehab. I guess not get clean, because apparently that's not the way to word that anymore in the current like drug rehabilitation like mindset. But yeah, like if there were places where you could have those hard conversations and you could talk to people about your drug addiction honestly, it should in theory reduce drug usage, right? It should reduce like the chance of you dying to drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a balance though. Like if I was walking down, like if people were able to just walk down the street and walk into a spot and buy heroin, do you think there'd be more or less heroin users?
I don't know, because I don't think that the barrier that's stopping me from like becoming a heroin addict is that I don't have a good way to buy heroin.
Sure, but there are experimental people that just don't, there are experimental people that just don't have immediate access or don't know where to go to get something. That I think there will be more marijuana smokers now than there were before, now that it's legal. That I don't know, that just seems obvious to me.
I would probably agree with that one.
But I don't know, is that a problem or not?
I think with some drugs it is a problem.
Well, yeah, he's just taking it that same line of thought to like other drugs. Like if coke were legal, are we going to see everyone's going to be all keyed up all day, or we can see
the professor from Columbia University says that he does heroin recreationally.
Yeah,
I mean there is like there's people that can work and do their day to day and do drugs like cocaine and heroin. I've seen some videos where people say like, yeah, I've been on this and I'll go back to work like nothing. I think that's fucking wild. First off, right? Especially for a doctor,
It is interesting, some shit like that. I knew this guy one time that his drug of choice was ketamine.
What the fuck is that?
It's just like a horse tranquilizer, and he would just trank himself up and just sit on his couch and trip, and that was his preferred drug of choice.
It's also a club drug. Like when you go to the clubs, you get K. It's called Special K.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good off all that. That's crazy.
I actually heard that they're using it now for rehabilitative practice in like a hospital setting. They can get you to unaddict people who are addicted. It helps them get off of drugs, stuff like that. Apparently it's good in some ways, and we would have never known that if it wasn't for like human use, you know what I mean? So like sometimes you gotta use the drug and see, like, who would have known fucking horse tranquilizer.
Imagine the first dude that like went to his doctor and was like, "Doc, I got great news." He's like, "I've stopped doing heroin now." He's like, "So great. How'd you do that?" He's like, "Well, I started smoking ketamine."
But I heard it's easier to get off than heroin, Special K. Yeah. That's why it's like a good way to get off of other drugs.
Shit's crazy. I'm just not in that camp.
I think there's a balance, and like I think there's a lot of benefits to making drugs illegal. Like there's going to be better regulation. You're probably going to get less bad drugs out and about. There's probably going to be more help available. People that are addicted to these things are going to feel more comfortable coming out and saying they're addicted to these things and trying to get help and things like that. Like I think there's a lot of those benefits. Like I would want to focus on how can we get these benefits while minimizing the bad effects of this stuff. And I don't know, something about just opening the floodgates for everything to be legal feels really uncomfortable to me.
No, yeah. I mean, I like I said, I agree with that 100%. But at the same time, whatever. Like, I don't think opening the floods is the best way. And like I said, I don't even think cocaine's that bad either. But who am I? I've never done cocaine, so I don't know how that affects people or anything like that.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting conversation. I like the idea of legalizing all drugs. Like Bucho said, I think there's a lot of benefits, but
yeah, it's just hard for. Yeah, I don't know. That's just crazy. I never even heard of this horse tranquilizer. So